Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you the U.S. Army 5-quart floating bladder collapsible canteen. Alright everybody, welcome back. I'm going to show you this thing today. I think this actually has a very valid application when it comes to preparedness with go gear, bug out bags, whatever you want to call them, get home bags. Even a car kit. I think it has a valid application for it. Not every bit of military surplus always works well with prepping and survival, but there are a few things that you come across that are very useful. This is definitely one of them. Now, as you can tell, this thing holds 5 quarts, but that's pretty darn small for a 5-quart bottle. Let me unwrap it for you and show you. This is going to be a little tricky. I may have to pull it off camera because it's really tucked in there. There we go. This is just a way to store it. You don't have to store it this way. This is just a very compact way to store it. One of the neat things about this is that it holds 5 quarts, yet it can be stored so very small. All right, there we go. And there it is, the whole thing. So it does open up to be a little bit bigger than you'd think it would. Now this can be used for collecting water from a nearby source. If you're camping and you want to collect water, it'll hold a little over a gallon, 5 quarts. A little over a gallon, weighs about 10 pounds when full, so remember that, it's going to be heavy. But if you have if you camp in an area where you're, 10-minute walk to the stream and you don't want to keep walking back, something like this for yourself is perfect. You know, they say a gallon a day, that's a little over a gallon, so you even have a little in there to wash dishes or clean yourself up with. It also can be used on the back of a pack if you are walking and have run out of water. We're going to get into that. You notice my get home bag is over there. We're going to get into tying it into that and showing you how it works once it's all filled up. But definitely a handy application for having a way to carry water that you might have foraged somewhere during a disaster or emergency. We always say to carry a Silcock key with you because you're able to open up places where you might be able to obtain water from business buildings or something after a disaster. Well, this is a convenient way to carry it, instead of a smaller bladder that you might run out of water very quickly. So, these were made, from what I could tell from my research, these were made for the first Gulf War as a small contract run. I also read somewhere that they were in use in Vietnam. However, this looks way too new to be from Vietnam. You'll notice there's a little bit of instructions on the front here on how to get the water out of a running body of water. Basically, you submerge this, you hold this open, and we'll get into the cap in a second because that's kind of interesting too. Now this can fold flat if you want. You don't have to fold it the way I had it. You can fold it like this in your bag, tuck it in a corner. You'll notice the ties on here and some Velcro. That is to attach it to your bag. And again, I told you we'll get into that. We'll attach it onto that. I'll move the camera around after we fill it up. We're going to go outside and fill it up. We have a little Velcro pouch on here that will hold your water purification tablets on the side there. And you also have a way to get at the bladder. I was kind of concerned about this because this is something that I would have passed over in a military surplus store. I would never have looked at this and thought, oh, I can use that, as a prepper. But this is something I wouldn't have even known what it was. But I'm glad I have a friend that knows military surplus and has a store here in town. All right, you'll see the bag inside here. It's kind of similar to the type of plastic you get in a Camelback. Now, if you do buy one of these surplus, make sure you clean it out. I used a tablet in there. You can use denture cleaner as well. I used a little bit of bleach the first time with some water. I filled it all up with water and maybe like a couple drops of bleach just to shake everything out and clean any solids or any kind of contamination in there. And then I took a tablet. These are made, gosh, I forget who makes them. I did a review on them too. Really bad. But it's a cleaner for the Camelback system. So I tossed one of those in there, let it sit for a day, dumped it all out, and cleaned it up. Then I rinsed it a few times to make sure I got everything out. So if you buy one of these surplus, even if they tell you it's never been issued, it's a good idea to clean it out. You never know what's in there. Something interesting on this is your lid here that's kind of buried in this thing. The lid comes off. It's a sturdy plastic kind of lid. It's got a little retainer on it so you don't lose it. But here's the interesting thing. This stuck to the top, but there's a rubber seal in here to keep it from leaking. This is a little filter. This little filter actually will sit in here. and will prevent, if you're collecting from a stream or anywhere where there might be little pebbles or sticks or twigs or whatever, that will keep them from coming out when you're getting ready to filter the water. If you are taking it from a stream, I would suggest getting a filter. I haven't tried to attach any filter systems to that. That might be cool for a later video. It is threaded here, so it might attach to some filter systems, and you might be able to have like a squeeze bag. Another neat thing about this is you can hang it up in your camp. So let's say you fill this up with water, and you've got your water for the day, and you just string it up on a tree. So definitely a handy thing to have. A lot of people think about, well, I need to take water with me in my bug out bag or a go bag or whatever, but they don't think about how they're going to fill up and get enough for maybe a long trip home and on a vacation or something where there may not be water available everywhere. So this lets you replenish your water as you find it. It gives you a decent amount of water. Well, heavy, not as bad as, say, a 2-gallon bag, you know. It's heavy, but it's not going to be uncarryable. And it also gives you a way to store the water when you're camping or out or doing whatever. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this out, and I have little water spigots throughout my my backyard. We're going to fill it up, and I'm going to bring it back in here, and we're going to attempt to tie it onto my bag over there. I can't wait to get my wide-angle lens for this so it opens up the view a little bit for you. We're going to attempt to tie it on that bag there, and see how practical it is. It's definitely practical from a standpoint of just being able to tuck that away in a bag and fill it up. I want to see the practicality of actually attaching it to a bag. So let's take this outside and fill it up. Alright, so what you have here is just a regular spigot that you might run into somewhere. Got the bag with me. I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to tell you guys too, be careful of that, that little screen. I'm going to take it off. It likes to stick itself on there. I'm going to take it off and put it in my pocket and save it for later. And we're going to fill this up. As you can tell, nice and full. Let me get that screen back out. Screw that back on. Take it in. We'll dry it off a little and see how it attaches. Alright, so as you can see, this is a pretty unshapely bag, you know. It's not going to be your most convenient way of doing water carrying if you're using it on the back of a backpack. But in an emergency, you know, almost 1.5 gallons of water is invaluable. So you'll find a way around it if you have to. Now, as you can tell, these ties are way, way long. So I could tie it over here on the corner, up in these things through the molly webbing, which I may do, or I may tie it up here. I don't know, it looks like it kind of sits better here. You'll notice some water here. That's because water got into the bag through here. It is not leaking. I actually filled this when the bag was out. You can take it out through the side there, and it's not leaking at all. Another interesting thing about this before we tie it on here is that you notice I called it a flotation bladder. If you fill this with air, you can use this as a flotation device. Now, is it going to lift your whole body up? No, but if you're really tired and having trouble swimming and you can fill that up with air, that will help you stay afloat. So that's why it's called a flotation bladder. Let me give you a second here, tie this up and see if I can get it attached on there. Feed it through one side. I'm just going to tie one side on camera and I'll do the other one off camera so I don't bore you guys to death with my horrible knot tying skills. And that's something, you know, that's something important about prepping is to know your weaknesses. And knot tying is definitely one of my weaknesses that I need to practice. And I do practice it from time to time. I'm just not very good at it. So, as you can tell. So we're going to tie this on here. There we go. Now this isn't going to be light, so remember that. But this is a whole lot more efficient way to carry it if you already have a get-home bag, bug-out bag, whatever. You got all that water in there stored and ready to go. So let me tie it up on the other side and I'll bring you back. Alright, so it's tied on there. I'm going to try and give you a look and see what this looks like on my back. But I'll give you a quick look and see what it looks like. And we'll see how practical it is. Personally, I think, if I need water, I don't really care how difficult it is to carry it for a short period of time. So something like this is definitely cool. Again, if you're in a camp situation where you're camping out near a stream, and you can put something like this in your backpack, fold it up really tiny, and you got to walk about half a mile to the stream to get your water for the day, that's awesome. Now, once you get it on your back, I got to say, yeah, there's a little tendency to feel a weight falling backwards, but that's pretty darn good. That's not that bad. I'm going to give you a whole look, so I'll bend over. And it's on there fairly sturdy. So if I have to keep moving, and I need water, and it's hot outside, that's definitely something I'm going to like having on my back. Let me give you a look from the back. There you go. And all the way around. So it's definitely a cool thing to have. It's not too bad on my back, especially with this particular pack. This is a fairly light pack. It's about 22 pounds. It's my get-home bag that I take with me on trips. So, not bad. All right, so there it is tied up. We're going to untie it. See how unruly it is to get off. Doesn't seem too bad. One of the good things about not being able to make good knots is they're really easy to take apart. I do have to learn some more knots. I have to take some time out and probably do some videos on it. That and working with a compass are two areas I need to work with. I have some basic ideas on compass navigation, but it would help to know it a little bit better. So I'm going to dump this out, and I'm going to show you how I fold it back up, and we'll end up the video. All right, remember when I said it could be used as a flotation device? Blew it up with air, and there you go. There's your flotation device. Pretty cool. Handy thing to have. You fall in the stream, it's a little bit deeper than you thought. You have something like that, you can use the presence of mind to blow it up really quick. Regardless, you can do it ahead of time too, so it's kind of handy to have. Let me take the air out and show you. Like I said, this outside package, you're going to, because of this, you're going to get that water down inside here. So this is all wet. I'm assuming on an average day, it would probably dry out fairly quick. You're going to get as much air as you can out of there. You're going to put your screen back in. There you go. You're going to close that up. Now we may have to bleed it out a little more of air. But basically what you'll be doing is folding it on this side. And you want to fold it in a little bit more than that. There you go. And folding it in on this side, like that. And then you're going to want to pull this part down here, this part here. You're going to pull this down over it. But first you're going to roll it up. And you can fold it or roll it, doesn't matter. This is where you'll probably need to bleed out some air, because there's still a little air in it. And you don't have to do it this way. This is just the way that I saw it displayed. There you go. And then you'll just pull this over it. Now this is not easy. I find it a lot easier maybe to kind of do one of these and just toss it in your backpack, without doing all the fancy stuff. That's just as compact, just as easy, and works just as well. So anyway, that is the U.S. Army 5-quart Canteen, 5-quart floating bladder collapsible canteen. Definitely a handy bug out item, and like I said, not every bit of military surplus crosses over into people like us, preppers that would use. Sometimes it's too heavy, too bulky. You got to remember there's an entire military machine backing up, the item or something, so it may not be as strong as we want, because if it breaks, they just get another. Something like this, definitely applicable to preppers in an emergency situation or even camping, just to gather your water every day. Really handy little item. And I noticed something too. I was having a little trouble filling it up back there because the hose, the water was coming out in a spiral and not in a straight line. I suspect I got a little calcium buildup in there I got to clean out. But I noticed I didn't fill it anywhere near enough with water. That wasn't anywhere near as big as it could have gotten had I put more water in it, because I noticed when I blew it up with air it was a lot bigger. So it will hold a lot more than I thought. And I'm sure the bag would tolerate it. I have my bag down there. I'm sure that would have tolerated it full too. And even if you don't want to fill it up, it's a heck of a way to carry some water. Definitely handy. Anyway, folks, that's the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I will put a link down below. There are a few of these for sale on Amazon. I think they have like 6 left or something. They're very expensive on Amazon. They're anywhere from $30 to $40. They're not that expensive in the real world. These are usually 10 or 15 bucks in a surplus place. So if you can't get them anywhere, if you live in a very suburban area where there's no military surplus places, maybe you want to order it from Amazon. But there definitely are cheaper deals to be had than Amazon. Probably eBay. I would say check eBay, stuff like that. So I'll put a link down below so you can at least get some more specs if I left anything out. It's a fairly lightweight when it's empty. I would believe I think it's about 6 ounces when it's empty. So it's not a heavy item to carry. It can be folded up, tossed in your bag, and you always have a water bladder ready to fill up. Because it's great to carry a Silcock key, you know. And for those of you that don't know, those are the keys that open up those little doors and little spigots on the side of buildings that have water. You don't want to go doing that around every day. You want to do that only in an emergency if you're foraging for water. But I've yet to find a person that will let me do a video to test mine out. So you definitely don't want to do it every day. And you want to ask permission if you want to test your key out. But the 2 places I've asked around here were like, no, we don't know if we're allowed to do that. I don't know, and I'm like, all right, don't worry about it. But it's definitely a handy item, definitely kind of cool. I will put the link down below, like I said. You can check out our Amazon store. It really helps us out when you shop through that link. Even if you're not buying anything in the store, if you shop through the link, it really helps out the channel. And don't forget to check out our Thrive Life link down below. And we do have a Black Friday sale coming up, so make sure you get registered on that. And don't forget to check out our OLED link as well. Thank you for watching, folks. Stay safe and stay prepared.